What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sports Earth. In this video, I will be doing my final 2021 NBA mock draft before the draft this upcoming Thursday. So, in this video, we're going to be using my big board, and if you haven't seen it already, that video will be linked in the description. But this, it's supposed to be my custom big board, but it looks a little out of order. But we'll go with it. We still have all the right options and stuff. So we'll have all of those guys here in this video. So we're just doing the first round only. So 30 picks, starting with the Detroit Pistons at number 1. So Killian Hayes, they drafted him in the first round last year, and he's a solid prospect. He's a very good player, and or at least has the upside to be a very good player. So rookie year. But you have to take Cade Cunningham here from Oklahoma State. The Luka Doncic comparisons are definitely well-deserved. Cade Cunningham can do it all. Not really much to say. At number 2, the Houston Rockets here. This is a very tough pick. Last time, I picked Evan Mobley. But, this is a tough pick. So Kevin Porter Jr., we'll probably see him running sort of the point guard position. And then, as far as big men go, you have, let's see, where is he on this roster? Did I miss him? There we go, Christian Wood. So you've got Christian Wood and Kelly Olynyk, who played pretty well last year for the Rockets, so they may try to bring him back. But I think a guy like Jalen Green would be a young, electrifying scorer for this team. I think he probably makes more sense than Mobley. So we're going to go with Jalen Green here at number 2 overall. At number 3 overall, the Cleveland Cavaliers are here on the clock. So, Kevin Love, he's probably not the answer. Well, he was for a little while when LeBron was there, but, now he's older, starting to regress, and I think he needs a new home. So, at the big man, as for big men, you're probably going to have to bring back Jarrett Allen, and, Taurean Prince, Larry Nance, you don't really have a lot of options outside of Jarrett Allen. So, the potential to bring in Evan Mobley is very intriguing, and I think that's the pick that I'm going to make here. I'm going to give the Cleveland Cavaliers Evan Mobley here, number 3. He has a unique skill set that I think would clash well with the rim-dominant Jarrett Allen, so I'm going to have to take Evan Mobley there at number 3 to the Cavaliers. And number 4, the Toronto Raptors. I feel like this is a pretty easy pick. Kyle Lowry probably gone in free agency. Fred VanVleet, he's solid. He's fairly young, so he's a good player. You have Malachi Flynn, who is a good player. Maybe you look to bring back Gary Trent. And there's somebody else that I'm looking for on here. Well, as far as big men go, you have Siakam, Aaron Baines still there, Boucher. So it's a solid overall roster. Struggled this year, but I think with the right pick and picking an NBA-ready guy, which would be Jalen Suggs, this is a guy that could clash very well in the backcourt with Fred VanVleet. So I'm going to go with Jalen Suggs here at number 4. At number 5, the Orlando Magic are here on the clock. So the Magic, they have needs across the board. Markelle Fultz, he's an intriguing young guard. You got John Isaac there. Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter, maybe look to bring those guys back. They drafted Cole Anthony last year. RJ Hampton, Okeke. They have a lot of young players that could turn into solid pieces for this team. But I think they need that guy. And Scotty Barnes is intriguing, but I think they're going to go with a guy that has a lot more upside offensively, and that is Jonathan Kuminga. So I'm not sure how you would work him in there with John Isaac, but Kuminga has a lot of potential offensively. He's super athletic, and Scotty Barnes, he's great on defense, and he's a great player overall, but he doesn't really have a great jump shot, and just his offensive skill set as far as scoring just isn't that great. So I'm going to go with Kuminga at number 5. At number 6, the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they pick again at 16 and 18. They have a lot of draft picks. But for this one, I think you want to get a guy that's going to be able to help out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that is Scotty Barnes. He is amazing defensively, and he's going to be able to get the ball to SGA and let him cook, and that's what the Thunder want. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a very, very good player, and they want him to make plays. Scotty Barnes can definitely create for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and his offensive game is going to improve, but I think right now it's definitely a work in progress. Here at number 7, The Golden State Warriors are on the clock, so you got Klay Thompson coming back. Hopefully he's healthy, ready to go. Of course, you got Steph Curry. Andrew Wiggins could get traded. We'll have to see. Draymond Green is still there. Probably don't bring back Kelly Oubre. James Wiseman, he had an up and down rookie year. He was a second overall pick in last year's NBA draft. He had an up and down rookie year, but if they do decide to hold on to him instead of trading him, I do think that he'll be able to develop. So the Warriors, they have number 7 here, and they have number 14 as well. And this is a team that could look to make a trade and send out this 7th pick and this 14th pick for an established veteran, because this is a team that's going to look to win right now. When you have Curry, you have Klay, you have Draymond, these guys, they're nearing the end of their primes. Some of them may already be out of their primes, but I think these are guys that you want to surround well in the final few years of them playing really, really good basketball. And at this spot in the draft, there are only a few guys left that can really help you win right away. One of those guys is Davion Mitchell, maybe Franz Wagner, but this is probably too high to take him. And, there are a few guys like that, Corey Kispert. And then if you go back up here, I think Moses Moody could be that. Moses Moody has a very complete skill set. And I think he's a very good pick here at number 7 for the Warriors. You could have him coming off the bench. He's a good defender, 3-level scorer. He could offer a really exciting scoring ability off the bench. And, Kelly Oubre probably won't be there this offseason, or next season, I should say. So maybe you're looking for somebody on the wing to really make a big impact. I think Moses Moody can be that. I like this pick for the Warriors, but there is a good chance that it is traded. Now at number 8, the Orlando Magic. They've already picked Jonathan Kuminga, so they already have a big man. They'd probably like to grab a center, but there's nobody that's too high up on my board. So I think here, if you're the Orlando Magic, you're looking for a guy that has a high ceiling and could develop into a big-time player one day, because that's sort of what you're going with Kuminga. You're going for a guy that is super athletic and has high upside. Now, James Bouknight, if he finds a more consistent three-point jump shot, this guy could be electric. Offensively, but right now it's just too inconsistent. He just has too many things that he needs to work on. So he's a potential option. Keon Johnson, really athletic defensive guard from Tennessee. I think this is a guy that you could put in there with Fultz and Anthony. Keon Johnson, there's definitely some potential for that to work out, and I like the idea of this pick. So I'm going to take Keon Johnson here at number 8 from Tennessee. Got him going to the Orlando Magic. At number 9, the Sacramento Kings are on the clock. Last time we did a mock draft, I picked Franz Wagner here. I like how he fits in with Hield and De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton. I like how he fits in with those young guards, and he fills a hole at small forward. He's a guy that, he sort of does everything right. He's great defensively, solid shooter, solid facilitator, considering where he is on as far as being a small forward and being a good defensive small forward. So he would be able to create for those guys. And I really like that Franz Wagner pick. But the Sacramento Kings, I'm just not sure really how close they are to just to not even contending, just contending for a playoff spot. They need a big man. They do. And unfortunately for them, there's probably nobody that you can really bring in. You're probably bringing back Marvin Bagley. Maybe you look to bring back Rashawn Holmes. But you're just not looking super great when it comes to big men. And I could see the Sacramento Kings wanting to go out and get a big man here in this draft. So this is an intriguing pick right here for the Sacramento Kings. Marvin Bagley, he didn't really work out a couple years ago, and you really haven't had a guy up here at this power forward or center position. I think Kai Jones is a guy that can probably play both of those positions in the NBA. I see him more as a rim-running power forward, but this guy has the potential to be a stretch 5 at the NBA level if he continues to improve his jump shot. So I like the idea of Kai Jones. I do like the idea of this pick. I'm not sure if it's the pick that I want to make, though. So Kai Jones, you saw him in my prospect video. I'm really high on him. I think that he's a very good player, high upside. And with these young guards, I think you're looking for that. I think Kai Jones can give them what they want. So we're going to go Kai Jones here at number 9. At number 10, the New Orleans Pelicans are on the clock. So the Pelicans, I feel like they have to get a guard right here. And unfortunately for them, the guy that I had in last draft, Keon Johnson, he would help out defensively, but he's already off the board. Davion Mitchell, though, he offers a lot. This guy, he's high IQ, he's a good shooter, good facilitator, and he's very good defensively. I think he fits really well. If Lonzo Ball is not on the team next year, then Davion Mitchell can come in right away and be a big-time impact player. At number 11, the Charlotte Hornets are here on the clock. You have to get a big man to help out LaMelo and Scary Terry, Malik Monk. You still have Bridges as well, Devontae Graham. There's a lot of guys that they have to bring back, a lot of rotation players. So we'll have to see what they do there. But on the wing, you got Gordon Hayward. This is a very interesting pick. And I'm thinking that a guy like Zaire Williams, I would really like that fit here with the Charlotte Hornets, but that's not the direction that I'm going to go. I feel like you have to get a big man of some sorts, and I think Isaiah Jackson would fit really well. He can play either power forward or center position, depending on where or the other players that you bring in on this roster. But this is a guy that can be a big-time lob threat for LaMelo and would offer some dominance in the paint. You have some very good shooters on this team, but Jackson would be dominant in the paint, and he's very good defensively as well. Super athletic. I really like the pick of Isaiah Jackson. Even though he's rated on my board in the 20s, this is a very, very good player here in this draft. At number 12, the San Antonio Spurs are here on the clock. So the Spurs, they're kind of in a weird spot. There's been some DeJounte Murray trade rumors. Jakob Poeltl, probably not the answer as the team's center. DeMar DeRozan definitely could leave in free agency, but there's been some rumors that he could return, which for him probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. And overall, there is a lot of just question marks with this Spurs team. Where are they as a franchise? Now, Jalen Johnson, he's a very intriguing pick here. At number 12, I think you'd be getting solid value. And this would give Greg Popovich a guy to work with potentially here at the power forward slot, where Jalen Johnson could come in and he could take over that power forward slot, and maybe you just stick with Jakob Poeltl unless you can find a better option. But I don't really think I see them taking Alperen Sengun right here. Maybe at 41 you're able to grab somebody that's sort of a high upside type guy. But I'm not sure with this one. I'm not really sure where to go here. But the Spurs, I think Jalen Johnson makes sense. He could end up playing the 3. It just depends on how they build this roster. At number 13, the Indiana Pacers are on the clock. The Pacers are another team, not really sure where they are as a franchise. So you've got Malcolm Brogdon, you've got Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, Karis LeVert, TJ Warren. He's coming back from injury. We'll have to see how he plays. But Turner could get traded. Brogdon could get traded. Maybe we see Warren get traded. There's a lot of question marks with this Pacers squad. And I'm not really sure where this team is going to go here in this draft with this pick. If Brogdon gets traded, which certainly could happen, Josh Giddey is a very good option. This is a guy that he's not great defensively, not a great shooter, but his passing ability and upside is definitely worth a lottery pick, I would say, or at least a fringe lottery pick. This one, of course, just barely inside the lottery at number 13 overall. And then you could also look and say, hey, they probably need a big man. Miles Turner probably on the way out. I just don't see anybody that the Pacers would really want. So if we're looking overall, where could the Pacers go? Maybe you go for Corey Kispert. Maybe trade TJ Warren and draft Corey Kispert. Maybe you bring in a guy like Book Knight. He could potentially run next to Karis LeVert and Jeremy Lamb here in this backcourt. I think that's definitely an option. Sharif Cooper, I don't really think that'd be a great fit here, but it could make some sense to replace Brogdon. But I think Josh Giddey makes the most sense here. Now, if they do decide that they want to hang on to Brogdon, then that changes the pick a lot. But we're kind of going off the assumption here that they feel comfortable with what they have in Malcolm Brogdon, and they think that they can, use him as the team's point guard moving forward. But that also depends a lot on where the Pacers see themselves in the Eastern Conference moving forward. Now, at number 14 overall, the Golden State Warriors, they already have Moses Moody. And while I want so bad to take a guy like Usman Garuba, because this is a guy that could come in and play some good defense, I don't know on this one. I really think that this 14th pick is definitely going to get traded. And I think that the 7th pick, which I selected Moses Moody with, I think this one could definitely be traded as well. There's no great big man options here. And I really don't know where to go with this pick for the Golden State Warriors. So looking at the potential picks for the Warriors that are already off the board at this slot, maybe you would look for Jalen Johnson, Isaiah Jackson, Kai Jones, some guys sort of big men. Maybe you have Davion Mitchell to run the backup, the second team offense. So I'm not sure where to go with this one. The Golden State Warriors, they're in a really, really tough spot with this selection. It's tempting to take a guy like Corey Kispert or Franz Wagner who can come in and shoot and defend right away, but you're kind of getting that in Moses Moody. I'm not sure if you want to double up and get Moody and then also bring in Wagner or maybe Kispert. I think that one could make some sense. I'm just not really sure if you want both of those guys, Moody and then one of these two right here. Zaire Williams, this is an intriguing pick. James Bouknight, maybe you go bold right there. Or you bring in a guy like Alperen Sengun, and I kind of think that's going to be the pick. This is a guy that can play well in the paint, can't really stretch the floor, but I don't know. Golden State needs to win now, and I think I have to go with one of these two. So we're going to go with, you know what, we're going to go with Corey Kispert. Moses Moody's a good defender, but Corey Kispert, he's really just out there to shoot. That's going to be his role in the NBA, is to shoot. So we're going to take Corey Kispert here at the very end of the lottery. So somehow, James Bouknight not drafted in the lottery, and it may be a surprise to some that Franz Wagner was not picked either. So now here, the Washington Wizards at number 15 overall. I think this is the perfect spot for Alperen Sengun. That's a place where he can go and develop, but also he can use the skills that he already has, which is dominance in the paint right away. At number 16 overall, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think you have to get James Bouknight here to pair with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that backcourt. You already have Scotty Barnes. I think that's a very successful draft for the Thunder. At number 17 overall, the Memphis Grizzlies. This is an interesting pick, the Memphis Grizzlies. So, do you go with a guy like Zaire Williams, who is very high upside? I like the idea a lot. I think that is the pick here. He's high upside, and you already have Dylan Brooks. You have John Morant, Tyus Jones in the backcourt. Brandon Clark, Grayson Allen, not really sure what the future looks like for him. You have Desmond Bane, but Zaire Williams, I think you can just add another piece to sort of that wing position. And, Desmond Bane, he has a solidified role in this team. Maybe don't bring back Grayson Allen. Maybe you move him. And then you have Kyle Anderson. Dylan Brooks, he's a solidified starter. But I think Zaire Williams would slot in well here with this Grizzlies squad. At number 18 overall, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are up once again. So the Thunder, they already have Scotty Barnes. They already have James Bouknight. I want to go with the center, but there's no great options. I could see them selecting Greg Brown here. This is a guy that probably doesn't have a lot of potential to stretch the floor, but he could be a big, just a big man sort of in the middle of this team for guys like Bouknight and Barnes and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to set up. This team isn't looking great as far as big men go, so I think it makes sense to invest in one here. And we're going to go with Greg Brown, even though a pick like Usman Garuba is very, very tempting. At number 19, the New York Knicks. So the Knicks right now, we're looking at this roster. Barrett's coming back. I assume they probably want to bring Derrick Rose back. Alex Burks, maybe he comes back. Maybe we see Nerlens Noel back, but Julius Randle, you got him. Obi Toppin, year 2. This team has a lot of solid talent. Emmanuel quickly had a very good rookie year. I assume that you see Mitchell Robinson as sort of your franchise center, if that makes sense. I'm not sure where to go with this one. The Knicks, because they also pick at 21, so if there's a guy that you think could slide a couple more picks, maybe you wait on him. And I think that's what the Knicks are going to look to do here. So at number 19, do they go with Franz Wagner? I think it's a pick that would make a lot of sense. He's a hard-nosed defender that I think would fit well with Tom Thibodeau. And he offers some shooting ability as well. We're going to go with Franz Wagner here. And, there's not a lot of great options at the center position. At number 20 overall, the Atlanta Hawks are here on the clock. And I think Jared Butler makes a lot of sense for the Atlanta Hawks. And the reason I'm picking Jared Butler here, Jared Butler is exactly sort of what Chris Dunn wasn't. This is a guy that's going to come in and play great defense right behind Trae Young. I forgot his name for some reason. So he's going to come in right behind Trae Young, and he doesn't have to have a huge role right away, or ever really, because Trae Young is a superstar. But Jared Butler can sort of do his job off the bench and contribute from day one. Now here at 21 for the Knicks, the guy that I have in mind, while Sharife Cooper is an intriguing pick, I think that the Knicks go with shooting here. I think that they get Trey Mann from Florida. This is a guy that can create at a very high level and shoot at a very high level. The Los Angeles Lakers are here at number 22. And the guy that I want to go with here is Chris Duarte. So it sounds like he's probably been promised a first round slot somewhere in this draft. And I think the Lakers could be the pick here at number 22. This is a guy that is a knockdown shooter. And coming in, I think that he can make plays for the Lakers as a knockdown shooter in his rookie season. And this is a team that's still looking to contend for an NBA title. You have LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Other than that, there's still going to be a lot of roster turnover this offseason. But I think that Duarte would fit in really well with this Lakers team. At number 23, the Houston Rockets are on the clock. So they drafted Jalen Green earlier on. Maybe you look for a big man here. Maybe take a chance on a guy like JT Thor. He's high upside. You've got a high upside guy here in Jalen Green. And the Rockets, I think they need to look for high value picks. And, JT Thor, he's not a guaranteed high value pick. But this is a guy that very well could end up being a very good player here at number 23 overall. I think the Rockets are willing to take sort of a risky pick here in JT Thor. And now at 24, the Rockets, they're up again. So they got Green, they got Thor. So right here, maybe do you look for a point guard? I think you could. If we're looking at who is still on the board, we have Sharife Cooper here, Usman Garuba. Do you look for a backcourt of Cooper and Green? Green is an amazing knockdown shooter. Cooper, great facilitator. I think it would make some sense. Maybe Jalen Green plays the 3. You've got JT Thor up here. I think it makes sense to pair Cooper with Jalen Green. And the Rockets have a rare opportunity to do that. I think they do that here at number 24 overall. Maybe Sharife Cooper is a little bit of a steal. At number 25, the Los Angeles Clippers are here on the clock. So, you have Reggie Jackson. I assume they want to bring him back. I assume that they're interested in bringing him back after the playoffs that he had with this team. But I think they're still going to be interested in grabbing a point guard. And there are still some very good guards left on the board here. So the Clippers here at 25, you're likely going to be able to retain Kawhi Leonard in free agency. And other than that, they still have a championship caliber team. Maybe Jaden Springer is a guy that you bring in. He's not a great knockdown shooter, but you have good shooters like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Marcus Morris Sr. here. So you have some good shooters on this team. And I think Jaden Springer can come in. He's not a great shooter, but he's a very good defender. He's athletic. And this guy could blossom into a starter for the Clippers. But Reggie Jackson could definitely still serve that role. And Pat Bev as well. Patrick Beverley could still serve that role for the Los Angeles Clippers. At number 26, the Denver Nuggets are on the clock. So the Denver Nuggets, looking at this team top to bottom, is very promising. So Jamal Murray, he is potentially going to miss some of next season with a torn ACL. So we'll have to look outside of him. Monte Morris, he's likely coming back. But I'm just looking for the depth that they have at the guard position. Austin Rivers, not really much. PJ Dozier, he's not more than a late rotation guy. Campazzo, he had a promising year this year, but I think you like a better option. I think you have to look for another guard here that can make an impact and maybe forced to make an impact at some points in this year. And there's a couple of nice guards here on this list of draft prospects, and a guy that I like. This is a good shooting team, and I think they add another good shooter here in Cameron Thomas. This is a guy that can handle the ball and create for himself, create good open shots. Cameron Thomas is a very, very promising player. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets at number 27. I'm going to try to make this quick. They need to get a center. The Brooklyn Nets, of course, we have the big three. We've got Joe Harris, Dinwiddie potentially if they retain him coming back from injury. But they have to get a center. And I can't believe that Usman Garuba has fallen this far. But he wouldn't really fit for the Brooklyn Nets. But a guy that I do think would fit for the Brooklyn Nets is Charles Bassey. This guy at Kentucky, Western Kentucky, he had a lot of pressure on him to make plays. Of course, he just wasn't surrounded with an insane amount of talent. And I think coming to the Nets, this is a guy that could potentially make an impact off the bench, but just be a guy for some depth as a center. Here at number 28, the Philadelphia 76ers are on the clock. So the 76ers, they, of course, have Ben Simmons. No idea what's going to end up happening with him. But you have some solid pieces outside of guys like Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. And, of course, there's a lot of speculation that Simmons will be traded. But the 76ers here, do you look for a wing player? I kind of think that the 76ers look for somebody that can play on the wing. Maybe you look, Tyrese Maxey was solid, Thibault, but just looking at who is left on the board, is this where a guy like Brandon Boston Jr., who's going to be a high upside prospect, is this a spot where he comes off? I don't think so, but I'm not really sure where to go with this one. This is a tough pick. I think a guy like Joel Ayayi would make sense, even once they trade Ben Simmons. This is still going to be a player that, this is still going to be a team that is still going to be trying to contend, even once they trade one of their best players in Ben Simmons, assuming that happens, but it seems very likely at this point in the offseason. So I'm going to go with, so this is what we're looking at, but I'm going to go with Joe Ayayi there at number 28. I do like him a lot coming from Gonzaga. At number 29, the Phoenix Suns. I kind of have an idea where I want this pick to go. Dario Saric just tore his ACL in the NBA Finals. Jalen Smith didn't work out super well in year one, but he still has some potential. The Phoenix Suns, of course, they just lost in the NBA Finals. It was such a great series, but they just could not pull it out. I'm assuming Chris Paul returns to the Phoenix Suns here. And the Phoenix Suns, they have built a team that not only can contend right now with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, but they have built a team that can be very, very good in future years as well. And I think they continue that idea. I think they finally grab the falling Usman Garuba here at number 29 overall. This is a guy that can come into the NBA and be a big-time defender. His offensive game is still a work in progress, but he won't have to be a huge player in the Suns rotation from day one. The Utah Jazz at number 30. I'd like to get a big man here. I would want to get a big man to join guys like Rudy Gobert and Derek Favors in the front court. And there are some options. But also, I would be intrigued in getting a wing player like Trey Murphy, who I definitely think could go in the first round. I'm going to go for the Utah Jazz at number 30. This is a tough pick. I think Trey Murphy would make some sense, but I'm not really sure where he would slot in the rotation, considering he's more of a small forward and can't really play power forward. So, the Utah Jazz, I really don't know where to go here. I'm looking for a guy, and I don't really see one that can play the power forward position and can make an instant impact from day one. I don't really see that, though, for the Utah Jazz here. So, Utah, they could also be looking for a point guard. Of course, you have Mike Conley, but we don't know if he's going to be there too much longer. and behind him, your point guard depth isn't that great. So because the sort of forward position is a little depleted, at least more at the power forward slot, I think you do look for a potential point guard here for the Utah Jazz. And Ayo Dosunmu is a prospect that I really like, and the reason that I like him is because he can come in. Utah, this is still a very good team, and even after their disappointing playoff run. So Ayo can come in. He can play important minutes, and he can do his job. There won't be a lot of pressure on him. They still have a good rotation. They still have a lot of good players on this team, but there just isn't the right fit here. So I'm going to go with a point guard, and I don't think that that is an awful pick, but I would like to see Utah take a power forward or maybe even a center. I just didn't like the Trey Murphy fit because he can't really play the four that much. And while maybe Utah could make it work in sort of a small ball-ish lineup, and with Trey Murphy being the defender that he is, I think he could guard some bigger guys in the NBA. He is 6'8", so the pick would make some sense. But I'm pretty locked in on Ayo. Now, I don't actually have the picks lined up coming into this video because I'd like for you guys to see my thought process as I go through these picks instead of just having the picks down and just clicking through them here on this in this mock draft. So maybe Ayo isn't the pick here. Trey Murphy, he's 6'8". He's a very good defender, sort of a 3-and-D prospect. So I think that in sort of a small ball lineup, to some extent, I don't want to overuse that phrase, I think Murphy could play the 4, which is something that they're going to need, and play it at a high enough level defensively at least, and he's still going to be a knockdown shooter. So I'm going to go with Trey Murphy here. Now, he's a guy that can contribute to a winning culture in Utah. If they keep surrounding this roster with the right pieces, I think that could be another very good Jazz team in the upcoming 2021-2022 season. But that is all that there is for this 2021 NBA mock draft. So, of course, we have the draft coming up in a couple days, and we'll have some draft grades coming a couple days after the draft. But thank you guys for watching. So you see all the picks here on the screen. I'm not going to go through and read them all, but you see, of course, the team logos here in the background of the player photos and here. So you see what team picked, and you see the player and all of their information. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments what you thought about my picks. What picks would you change? What picks did you like? And just what do you think about this upcoming draft class? And once again, that that prospect ranking video is linked in the description, so go check that out if you haven't already. But thank you guys for watching. Also in the description, my live streaming channel and my Clemson channel. They are always linked in the description of every single video, so be sure to go check those two channels out if you haven't already. But thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you guys next time here on Sports Earth.